Hello and welcome to the show, Slim people. This is the big show, the Hobnobbin with Slim Man podcast, where we have, are you ready for this? Conversations with creative people on both sides of the showbiz curtain. That's the log line. In this episode, I'm going to chat with Earl Bud Lee. He's a songwriter, poet, philosopher type guy whose most famous song is probably I've Got Friends in Low Places. You know the song, the big smash hit by Garth Brooks and lots of others. Earl Bud Lee is going to tell us all about it and a whole lot more. And today, I am coming to you from Palm Springs, California, where it is presently, as I speak, 115 degrees. I'm not joking. That's hot, Slim people. It's been so hot, the thought of eating something steamy really doesn't seem appetizing. So I decided to try and poach a salmon. That's right. My Uncle Oscar used to do it in the summertime. He'd poach the whole fish, stick a thermometer in it until it reached the right temperature, and then he'd stick the fish in the fridge and let it chill. So I thought I'd give it a try. Well, I put some water and wine and carrots and celery and shallots in a large pot. I also tossed in some whole peppercorns. I let it all come to a boil. Then I let it simmer. And then I put 2 pieces of Scottish salmon, some fillets, not the whole fish, in the pot and made sure it was covered with the water and the vino. And then I cooked the salmon just like Uncle Oscar, which is basically until the internal temperature of the salmon reaches 115 degrees. Seriously. Same temperature as it is outside right now. So basically, I could have put the salmon out back at a Slim Shack and just let it cook outside. Well, it turned out great. It really did. I posted the poached salmon recipe on slimmancooks.com if you want to have a gander. Take a look. Are you ready for a little story, Slim boys and girls? Well, let me tell you about last Tuesday. It was one of the best days of the year so far for Uncle Slimmy. I got into the Slim Mobile and I drove from Palm Springs to Laguna Beach. It took about 2.5 hours. Wasn't such a bad drive. And when I got to the beach, it was beautiful. A sunny day, perfect temperature, light breeze a-blowing. I had lunch with some guys from a company up north that wants to use the vaunted Slim Man name on some merch, on some merchandise. I'll tell you all about it later. But the lunch was at a place called The Cliff, and it was overlooking the Pacific Ocean. I know, it sounds like Slim Goes Hollywood. Pretty soon I'll be wearing shorts and sandals and calling everybody dude. But I don't think that's going to happen. But, dude, I gotta admit, it was a pretty nice setting. I got a piece of grilled salmon on a salad, and why do I do that? What I really wanted was a club sandwich with French fries, but I didn't want the 2 business guys to start questioning why a guy with a name like Slim Man would be wolfing down a triple-decker sandwich and a full plate of fries. So I got the salmon. And the meeting went well. Then I walked to a studio a block away, a recording studio I'd found online a few days before. I needed to listen to the final master of the new Slim Man Young at Heart CD before we sent it off to the manufacturer. And I found this place called Laguna Sound Studios. I walked up to the 2nd floor, and there was a small room with a beautiful Yamaha grand piano and a set of drums. Perfect place for the new Slim Man CD I'm thinking of doing. And then I walked into the control room and I sat down and I listened to the Young at Heart CD from start to finish, listening like an FBI agent listens to a wiretap in a van outside a suspect's house. You got to listen really carefully to those master Slim people. And, well, the CD sounded really good. I mean, she just sounded so nice. After I left the studio, I walked down to the beach. I went to a rooftop bar and I watched the sunset on the Pacific Ocean as I had a glass of vino. And that was my almost perfect day, Slim people. Too bad they only happen like once a year. All right, let's listen in on my conversation with Earl Bud Lee, a songwriter who's a charming and laid-back guy. I first met him a few years ago when I was living in Nashville. My friend Patrick Clifford, the legendary music mogul, introduced me to Earl Bud Lee, and I was immediately intrigued by the guy. I mean, he's a natural-born songwriter. Really, songs and lyrics seem to flow out of him like water from a fountain. Once I was having a drink with him at a bar called The Red Door when it started raining, and Earl Bud Lee started turning out verses impromptu and wrote a complete song right on the spot about playing outside on a rainy day. It was really amazing. Our Hobnobbin with Slim Man conversation took place in a private room at a restaurant called The Fin and Pearl, a great place in Nashville in a neighborhood called The Gulch. Earl Bud Lee walked in, and the first thing he said was that he had to get his gun permit filled out and faxed right away. He had a piece of paper in his hand, and he filled out his gun permit as we started talking. So let's check out my chat with songwriter Earl Bud Lee. You know, I haven't started any interviews yet where people are walking in, filling out their gun permits. But I did get to find out something about you. You were born in Orville, Ohio.
Yes, I was born in Orville, Ohio. Orville, Ohio is an interesting little place. I was born the same year Smucker's Jelly was born.
Who?
And with a name like Smucker's, it's got to be good. We all know that.
Oh, Smucker's.
Smucker's Jelly, yes. My family worked there. Of course, I was too young to go to work. They were born the same year, though, and I grew up eating lots of Smucker's Jelly.
So how'd you make it to Nashville from Orville, Ohio?
Well, my father passed away on the way home from a New Year's Eve gig, and I was a baby.
A gig? Was he a musician?
Yes, and I suppose I was about 2 years old, and he didn't survive the car wreck. And so we noodled around the dairy farm for about 5 years, and Mama remarried a naval officer, and it was off to see the world.
What kind of music did your dad do? What was he? Was he a singer, a writer, a
musician?
Just all around general?
All around, yeah. Yeah, I inherited the music room, which I was forbidden to go in for a number of years. Probably a number of reasons, too. My mama wanted me to get an education. So I did. And then after I was complete with my degrees and so forth, after practicing cardiopulmonary therapy for a number of years, I
Cardiopulmonary therapy?
Yes. Yeah, heart and lungs. I won a contest in Ocala, Florida. I was working at a lung hospital down there, and the bug had bit me early on. I started writing around the age of 8, noodling around with writing, and somewhere around the age of 25, the bug bit me really hard, and I picked up and moved to Nashville.
From Florida?
Mm-hmm.
And what year is that?
Golly, I think it was 79.
Yeah?
Back in the 1900s, back in the, mid-late 70s, it was the Wild, Wild West. And, of course, there were open-door policies. We could go in with a song and play it for the president of the company.
Really?
Yeah, we were. I was always able just to walk in. I never had to make an appointment or get on an agenda. I would just walk in, and they welcomed me with open arms. I met a lot of good people, a lot of good friends.
And were you taking in demos, or were you just walking in with your guitar and some lyrics scrawled on a piece of paper?
Sometimes I was just walking in to say hi.
Wow.
I'm here.
My name's Earl Bud Lee.
Behold.
My name is Earl Bud Lee, and here I am.
Yeah. I would go in and play them songs on the guitar. I never really took CDs around because they didn't have CDs at that time. They had the cassettes, and they moved from the cassettes to the DATs, and from the DATs to the CDs. And now
Right.
my new car doesn't have a CD player in it.
I know.
They're moving
Isn't
from
it
the
crazy?
CD. So, but I roll my sleeves up and hit the road. I go out and play and perform quite a bit.
So now you were pitching songs in Nashville. Now, were you actually going out and playing in bands and going to bars, or were you just? I mean, how were you supporting yourself while you're pitching tunes to Music
I just
Row?
got around. I have a knack for getting around.
Yeah, you do.
I picked up in, I believe it was the year 2000. I was supposed to go to Rome and play for the Pope. And this is like a classic story. I laugh about it. My son's dog ate the corners off of my passport, so they wouldn't allow it. I had to apply for a new passport, and Christmas Eve passed. So everyone who was going to play, they went on. I didn't get to go. But I was headed to Paris, France anyway to do Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. So I was going to make it a stop at the Vatican and then go on over to Paris.
So this was the year 2000?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I ended up getting my passport, flying to Paris, staying in, of all places, the Fock Hotel in Bussy. You can't make that up, can you?
The Fock Hotel in Bussy.
Yep, where everything was small. The beds were small, the kitchen was small, the bathroom was small,
Yeah.
and my feet would hang off the end of the bed. But for 4 months, I was loyal to the show. And
What was the Buffalo Bill Wild West show? Well, I mean, I was out in Wyoming and I saw the whole thing. But what was it? What was it? A traveling show with cowboys and?
well, they've been keeping up the tradition. It is the original Buffalo Bill's Wild West show at Euro Disney.
Oh,
And they've got about a 3,000 seat arena. And down in the arena, they come out and they'll serve, chuck wagon food. And people from all over Europe come dressed up like cowboys with chaps and little toy guns and hats. And in the show, they brought a lot of Indians from Canada and the Dakotas down, and a lot of real cowboys, stunt riders and such, and put on, an hour show, buffalo and cattle and real Indians and real cowboys, and just shoot them up. And I was a real stand around the campfire country singer.
oh,
She'll be
so you
coming
played
around the mountain when she comes. Yes,
Yeah, she will have to. The last verse is she will have to sleep with grandma when she comes.
that's
And
right. After they kill the old red rooster.
You know what I mean? It's like that's a children's song, and then like they're encouraging this woman, a strange woman, to sleep with grandma. She's kind of strange to me.
Itchy pajamas and all, but there was those type songs, and
So you were sitting around the campfire. You were the cowboy sitting by the campfire.
Well, I had multiple shows. I would do a warm up show as they were coming in, checking their tickets, and I would do a warm up show for that crowd, and then that was about a 15 or 20-minute show, and then I would go out and walk around the whole arena and perform for them before the big show started. And then at the end, I would just jump down into the arena, about a 6-foot drop, and walk over to the campfire. They had it set up, and a group of us would stand around, and I would close every night with "You Are My Sunshine."
Not a bad song to close with, huh? So
I love the song.
so you got to Nashville late 70s. Like how long was it before you got your first cut before somebody recorded one of your songs? You weren't looking to get a record deal for yourself, were you?
No, I was petrified, mortified at the thought of being in front of an audience back then. They begged me to record. They wanted me to move to Los Angeles to do a record. I wanted to learn how to write. I mean, really sink in with some of my mentors like Roger Miller and Mickey Newberry. Especially Mickey told me, "I'm going to give this to you, but you're going to have to give it to someone else one day." And he did, and I do. And so I learned how to write a song pretty good. It took me about a year or so before I was ready to go in the studio and put anything down. And But out of that first recording, I got 3 of them recorded. Out of 4 songs, 3 of them recorded.
Really?
And then I went on to I left the profession of cardiopulmonary therapist, and I went to write for Christy Lane. She paid me $50 a week. And I was happy to do it, and so she recorded a bunch of my songs. And then Loretta Lynn got wind of me, and she recorded one of my songs.
Really? What songs did she do?
And then it was called Starlight, Star Bright, and it was a B-side of one of her records. And then we went on to, Mo Bandy, Joe Stampley, a lot of country, Jim Glazier, T.G. Shepherd. I mean, it would go on until... a number of years after I came home from Paris, I didn't really want to write any. I wanted to read. So I basically read for 3 years.
Read like what? Everything, anything?
You name it. I mean, everything from things that I, thought were taboo that I shouldn't read. I didn't want to know, like Mein Kampf. I didn't want to know, how a guy with dark hair and dark eyes could convince a nation to be blonde hair and blue eyed. It didn't make sense. But then I did end up reading that in the Quran and the Bible a couple times. And philosophy from the Greeks through the Renaissance. You name it, I read it.
That's funny.
Quotation books, encyclopedias, just anything I could get my hands on. I was empty, and I needed to fill it up. And the history of the world was a fascinating read. And the prehistory was pretty doggone interesting, really, where we come from. I traced my ancestors all the way back to the known spelling was Monkey. Earl Bud Monkey. It was one of those moments in time for me where I absolutely needed to know for certain. I destroyed my belief system, totally destroyed it, and walked around confused. Well, not confused, just really depressed. Like, man, all the things that I really thought that I really believed in just weren't factual.
Right.
I got a little discombobulated over that. But I did, when I dug into the history of the world and started reading the facts, and like I say, the Greeks through the Renaissance as far as philosophy goes, and then getting into really heavily into Mark Twain literature, and I really gravitated toward nonfiction, factual things. Yes, and then I went to nature, and I started getting into nature and getting my legs back under me by way of Einstein, of course. One of his big pushes was nature, music and nature, trigonometry, of course, but music and nature.
Wow,
it's really big, and there's so much we can learn. And to this day, and I'm probably going to be an 80-year-old, and my mind is still going to be so fascinated by nature and how the universe continues to amaze us.
It does.
We're getting closer and closer to so many breakthroughs now. I mean, I'm fascinated by
Me too.
life.
Did all that stuff help your songwriting? Did it help inform your songwriting? I mean, were you like, or was it just kind of?
I think the first song I wrote after 3 years, I was bored, and I was rereading books with different titles but the same subject matter, just a different author regurgitating what someone else had written. And so I went and bought a good bag of writing cannabis and rolled me a fatty and sat down in front of a mirror and wrote a song called "Who Are You When I'm Not Looking?" And Blake Shelton recorded that, took it to #1.
Yeah, #1 record with Blake Shelton. That was great.
Yeah, timing. I had, of course, through the years, I ended up writing for Motown after all of these different writing gigs and starving. I went through a divorce. My wife could not keep up with the rapid pace I was moving, and nor did she want to. She would have rather had, someone who is that 9-to-5 guy that had a good profession and a steady income. And
This ain't it.
And it wasn't in the cards for me.
You got so you wrote for Motown? Because that was the first job I had, was writing for Motown in 1979.
My good Lord.
78, they signed me as a songwriter. Now, when were you working there?
Would have been 84.
Right.
84, 85.
So you were there right after I was.
For 84 through 86. I believe in 86, they closed the doors here in Nashville, and I was playing hooky from church and went to the bar instead and ended up writing Friends in Low Places. And I called Garth. I had known him. He'd been singing demos for me. And I called him up one day and asked him if he'd come off the road and sing one more for me. And he did. And he fell in love with the song. And eventually, you know, there's a big story right there.
So you wrote Friends in Low Places, and
yeah, co-wrote it with a writer. His name is Dwayne Blackwell. Dwayne was a big influence on me as well. He taught me, well, if you write with him, you're going to have to write by certain rules. He's not one who would use the word love and enough as a rhyme. It'd have to be love, glove, shove, above, all
right.
Pure sound. So if I was writing something, you know, like they were made for each other, something like a hand in a glove, everyone knew I was going to use love, so I had to throw them off with two common people with one thing in common, fair and square, share an uncommon love. Trying to throw things in there, and I learned how to do. Dwayne taught me how to move through that, and I can't think any other way now.
Yeah, I mean, it's the parallels are crazy, because after I finished at Motown, the guy that signed me to Motown is a guy named Carl Griffin. I was out of the New York office, and he started organizing country music talent contests. And they also sponsored shows for up-and-coming artists. And one of the first artists we did was Garth Brooks. He played at the Lone Star Cafe in Manhattan. And he only did a couple of original songs, and then he was doing like a lot of cover tunes, like, you know, Sweet Home Alabama and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that was what he was doing. He hadn't received a record deal yet. So I have a poster that he signed from like 1988 or whenever it was with Garth Brooks. It was also Lyle Lovett on, you know, they were doing shows with Lyle, and that was amazing. I mean, how did you meet Garth Brooks? Was he just a Nashville guy singing demos for you?
Well, my affiliate, the ones who collect my airplay, the radio play, and live performances, the American Society of Composers, Authors, and Publishers, there was a man, Major Bob, Garth's now manager. Well, Garth came into ASCAP, and they signed him to ASCAP, the Performance Rights Society, and Bob Doyle left ASCAP and started his own publishing company and management. And Garth, of course, was his act.
So,
and I think he may have even mortgaged his house to pay for some things up front. But eventually, they brought. This was when I was writing at Joe Bett.
Yeah,
Motown.
Joe Bett Motown, right.
Yeah, and they brought Garth over. I'll never forget, he and his wife at the time, Sandy, he pulled in this Chevy truck and got out just all cowboy, and came up to my office and sat down and played me some songs. And I was like, man, he's really quiet. I mean, he's not the dynamic person we see on stage. He's just a real soft-spoken, nice guy.
Really?
All around really, really sweetheart of a person with a Will Rogers type bend.
Yeah. Good-natured, loves people.
Really good. And I mean, I was like, well, you know what? All right. I'll let if he wants to sing some demos, we'll pay him to sing. And he sang a number of demos for me, and then he did Friends in Low Places, and he was like, I want that song. That is just exactly what I'm looking for. Where were you last month when I was finishing up? And Dwayne, I'd introduced him to Mark Chestnut, and he went over to Mark Chestnut because Garth didn't cut it on his first session, and he didn't cut it on his second session. And Dwayne was like, well, I'm not going to wait for the third session and find out we didn't make it.
Right.
So he went over to Mark Wright, who was producing Mark Chestnut, and he played it for them, and they loved it, and they went in and they did it. And Garth found me at a place in town called the Longhorn.
A bar?
And those swinging doors busted open. And I mean, they busted open. And I immediately looked over toward the door, and there comes Garth. And I met a lot of character because I had promised him this song.
And somebody else had already cut it.
And Dwayne went over, and got this record. I didn't even know it. Well, I knew eventually, but I was like, ooh, this isn't good because I promised
this
Garth.
song,
And
right.
well, he came in, and I owned the publishing at that time. So I was like, cowboy, slow down. I haven't signed it off to anyone. I didn't do that. It was your good old buddy Dwayne. And so he ended up with the song, and he went in and he put it down the way you hear it on the radio. That was all Garth's baby. He did all the live version and everything.
Really?
Yeah, we only had like 3 pieces on the demo.
How
We had
did,
John Beeland on guitar and Larry Paxton on bass, and Steve Turner on drums.
and how did you write the song? I mean, where's it? I got friends in low places. I mean, what was the evolution of it? I mean,
That was like from listening to, as a child, I would be Ray Price and Jim Reeves. Jim Reeves, actually, he would turn the music to the jukebox way down low.
Oh, right. Where you hit the low note, and sometimes you'll say the word high and you hit the high.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
So I was, it was like a couple bottles of champagne and a bar napkin, and I wrote "Blame It All on My Roots." I showed up in boots and ruined your black tie affair, and passed the napkin over to Dwayne, and he wrote, "Last one to know, the last one to show. I was the last one you thought you'd see there." And back over, I saw the surprise and the fear in his eyes when I took his glass of champagne. Back over, toasted you, said we may be through, but you'll never hear me complain. Back over, I've got friends in low places where the whiskey dry. Yeah.
that's amazing.
And on. And then we put it down, went over and got the guitar and put the melody to it. Dwayne was living at the Americana at the time. And we did that. Then we went in the studio. Well, Motown had closed their doors a month earlier. So I had the publishing on that song, and Dwayne had his publishing. He, of course, signed his over to BMG, and I sold mine to pay a bar tab at the Long. I was celebrating, I guess, a little heavy. So as time went by, though, the song really, really took off. It's one of those things when an artist and a song come along at the right time and meet each other, and it's like, then it's that big. And I could never say, I'm responsible for his career any more than he could say he's responsible for my career.
Right.
But we're both responsible for that song.
Yeah. I mean,
That song is responsible for giving us
you still hear it all the time on the radio, on TV and movies, and
yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing. The legs that song had. It's just, you hear it all, all the stinking time.
I know it, and it will continue. Well, they call those standards, right?
Yeah. Has anybody else cut it?
It's been recorded by everybody. Guns N' Roses recorded it. I mean, Slash recorded it. And it's been recorded all over the world. And I know that we lost track. I think Garth, his sales on that particular song are around 25 million sales on Garth. But the song itself. And I recently left ASCAP and I went with Broadcast Music Incorporated because I didn't think I was getting the attention that I actually needed at this point in the career.
Uh-huh.
And I needed that juice, and so BMI is giving me all the love, and I couldn't bring the song with, but I can bring new songs in.
And now, slim boys and girls, a word from our sponsors. I'm talking about DeCecco Pasta. You know, I've never made homemade pasta. I probably will in the future because I'd like to be able to make ravioli and tortellini, you know, the stuffed pastas. But why make your own spaghetti or penne rigati when you have a company like DeCecco that makes such great pasta and it don't cost a lot of dough, so to speak? DeCecco has been around since 1886, just like me. And it's the first certified pasta. Now, I don't know how you get a pasta certified, but DeCecco did it. It's made in Italy, and I use DeCecco pasta all the time. I really do. I use DeCecco rigatoni when I make my bolognese sauce. I use the linguine when I make my slim scampi. When I make my pesto, I use DeCecco farfalle. I love the Italian names for pasta. Farfalle is the Italian word for butterflies, which is what the pasta looks like. Spaghetti, it gets its name from the Italian word for string, spago. My favorite name for pasta is probably lingue de pasarai, which in Italian means the tongues of sparrows, which doesn't seem real appetizing, but it's pretty damn poetic. So, if you're looking for a Slim Man approved pasta, a certified pasta, look for DeCecco. It's in the light blue box with the Italian farmer gal right there on the cover. All right, Slim folks, another one of our sponsors here at Hobnobbin with Slim Man is the Foundation for International Aid to Animals, helping animals by helping people care for them. The FIAA was founded by Mindy Komponeski. She's a wonderful artist. She was disturbed by the number of homeless dogs on the streets when she visited Chile, South America. I've been to Chile a couple of times. It's a beautiful place with some excellent wineries. Love the Malbecs and the Sauvignon Blancs. But you know, the number of homeless dogs roving the streets, it was really disturbing. It really was. So Mindy started the FIAA to solve the problem. The Foundation for International Aid to Animals is a nonprofit family foundation based in the USA. The FIAA has pioneered sterilization and treatment programs for homeless pets and sheltered dogs, and it also helps people with limited resources treat and care for their pets. Check out their website, aidtoanimals.org. That's aidtoanimals.org. You can find out about all the great work they're doing for abused and neglected animals all around this big, beautiful, wonderful world. And if you get inspired, there's a donate button. That's right. aidtoanimals.org. That's the website. Check them out. Slim people, are you looking to buy or sell a house in the Palm Springs area? Well, you should definitely reach out to one of the best agents out there. I'm talking about real estate agent extraordinaire, Cindy Guzet. She's with a really great company called Berkshire Hathaway, and she's been living in the Palm Springs area for the past 20 years or so. Sure, it gets a little hot out here in the summertime, but Palm Springs is a beautiful place. I mean, Frank Sinatra lived here year-round, so why shouldn't you? Palm Springs is also a big place, and you need someone like Cindy Guzet who knows the area and all the surrounding towns. True story, when Guns N' Roses was playing that Coachella Music Festival, they called Cindy Guzet to try and find a 2-week rental. She knows the area. She has a lot of experience with the real estate market in Palm Springs. So call Cindy Guzet. She can help you out, whether you're looking for a house or a condo or a vacation home or a rental property. Give her a ring-a-ding, 760-485-2505, or send her an email at cindy.guzet@outlook.com. That's 760-485-2505 or cindy.guzet@outlook.com. That's Guzet, G-U-S as in Sam, E. Are you writing every day? Are you writing by yourself? Are you writing with other people? I mean, because I remember the first time I met, maybe like the second or third time I met you, it was you and Larry. What was the guy that wrote Wind Beneath My Wings?
Larry Henley.
Larry Henley. It was you and Larry Henley, and you and I were talking on the deck of this bar, the Red Door, and it started raining, and you just started like spouting off this poetry about, I like the rain, and can you come out and play, and why doesn't anybody come out and play in the rain? And I was
I remember that. I have not finished that piece of work.
You know what I mean? And I'm like thinking,
another rainy day.
Yeah, right. You were like,
no one wants to come outside and play.
Yeah.
All my friends are staying in.
Yeah.
But I love to get lost in the rain myself every now and then. Yeah, I remember I was working on that. I'd totally forgotten about it.
That was years ago, and I'm thinking, you must think like that. You think in terms of verses and choruses and songs. I mean, it's when I sit down to write a song, I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit down and write a song. I might have a title or a chord change or a vibe or a rhythm or something. But I was just amazed that you have such a lyrical mind. It was, a lot of the stuff you were just saying, I felt like I could just copy down and it would be a song. You know what I mean?
I think you would understand this more than anyone because you read the books, right?
Right.
You had a head full of words. And the mind wants to make order of things, so it would naturally just fall out in an order that I can't take credit for all of that either. I always say that I'm so full of shit, I don't believe I'll live long enough to get it all out, but I'm working on it.
So
and I am, right?
So if someone puts a stethoscope to your head, like they'll hear like lyrics and songs going around like 5 or 10 at a time. They'll be like, they'll put the stethoscope up.
Well, it's really my mind is wide open, like
and
wide open spaces.
You're just grabbing stuff that just kind of comes and just flowing it out.
Yeah.
Now, are you working with other writers? Are you doing mostly by yourself?
No. I love co-writing, and it's a bit of a trap. I wrote a song called Yonder back in '82, I believe. I was writing for Mary Tyler Moore, and I had the first experience with cannabis, which has been a really, I wrote for Willie Nelson for a while, who wouldn't fall in love with with the wonderful herb that God has put before us. At any rate, I wrote this song and Yonder, and all these years, this is in '82, all these years later, Randy Rogers and Alison Krauss recorded.
So do you have brothers and sisters?
I have come from a big family, actually. There were 7 of us kids.
Is anybody else in the music business or in the arts?
No, they all did. They went different directions, and, they all have a better life.
What do you mean?
There's stability and the family around. They still, like I say, my father passed away. Mama remarried, so I ended up with 5 half-brothers.
Right.
And still, the old saying, I say, a brother's not always a friend, but a friend is always a brother.
Yeah, that's true. Mm. What do you think about all the changes in Nashville and all the changes in the music business? I mean, it's so crazy what's happened in Nashville. And
it's very exciting.
Yeah,
so very exciting. I mean, some people are going to, like everything else, some people are going to do really good, and some people aren't going to do as good. But for myself, I pretty much stay with what I know.
And that's songwriting.
And that's, and I write and those who taught me, Harlan Howard, and one of the biggest things Harlan wrote, I've got a tiger by the tail, and I fall to pieces, and a bunch of...
Really?
Yeah, a bunch of heavy, big songs. He would always say 3 chords and the truth.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much, so in order to write, I had to live, had to experience a lot. I've gotten into so many different... reinventing myself in so many different ways. The writer was always there, though.
Are a lot of young people, young guys and gals coming to you to co-write, to try and, do you know what I mean?
There are certainly a bunch of them.
Is that bug you, or is that...
And they're all fascinating, but now my time has gotten so squashed And,
You really
the capsules. Well, I'm on the road, and that takes me out of. Now, if I'm hanging out in Nashville and I'm here and I'm hanging out in the bars, I like that. I like meeting new people, and you're going to get a big mix there. But every now and then, someone's going to come in and say, "Let's do it," and you're going to think that it's going to be the best thing that ever happened. And I shouldn't say you're going to. I did, and I found out that it's not always the case. Some people can talk a big talk, but when it comes down, it's like, what have I gotten myself into? Now I've got to write with this person, and they don't get it.
When you say you're on the road, what do you mean you're on the road? Literally on the road, like traveling to do music, or just traveling, period?
Yeah, on the road.
To do music? Or?
I will. I've got a few dates lined up to perform, and some really big things I wish I could talk about now. I'd love to advertise.
No, I'm just saying, like concert type situations?
Yeah.
Because I didn't, I've seen you like on Songwriters thing on stage where you just get up there and you play songs, but you go out there and you do shows, huh?
I will be doing some, and big names too. And some of them are rappers, and that's going to be really interesting, from hairy-legged old country boy to get up with a big rapper. And I'm writing for that right now, though. I'm kind of preparing myself for it. I'm throwing a little bluegrass in there, a song called Foggy Minded Breakdown, which should be really fun. John Alacia, who produced Dave Matthews, and I are working on that one.
Cool.
And I'll go to Dallas. The next scheduled deal is in Dallas, I believe, with Drake. And then
with
after
Drake?
that, I know, isn't that wild?
Wow.
And then they fly me from there to Dublin, Ireland, and I'll be on stage with Miranda.
Miranda Lambert?
Before Miranda comes out, they're inviting me on stage to do Friends in Low Places, so I'm of course going to do it. Then I only have to play like 3 songs.
I didn't know that you did all that stuff. I thought you were just kind of a behind-the-scenes kind of songwriting guy.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's great. That's exciting. And man, well, anyway, thanks for taking the time out, though. I know you're a busy man. What are you going to do tonight? You going out and cooking? Are you going to just go hang out?
No, I actually have pick up some gummy bears a little bit later here. I don't know. No, I think we decided to stay in tonight.
Yeah.
Actually, I want a night at home with my wife, and
she is wonderful. Everybody loves her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she is such
She's a psychologist, and I'm a case study. You know that.
Is she really a psychologist?
Yeah, and I'm a case study, so we get along really well.
No, Earl Bud, thanks so much, man.
And thank you, man. If you had not called me out for this interview, I would have been painting the bathroom.
Good.
This is more like it.
I'm glad I could help. So that's it. That was my chat with Earl Bud Lee. How can you not love that guy? Man, he is one talented songwriting, mother-loving son of a buckaroo. I hope you enjoyed it, Slim folks. All right, let's close the show with a Slim Man song as sung by Mara Jensen. Who's Mara Jensen? Well, I met her through my nephew, Zach. He told me she had a great voice, and I told him that I would check her out. So one night, I went to Towson, Maryland, right north of Baltimore, Maryland, to a club called the Wrecker Theater, or Theater. That's the way we say it in Balmer. And I saw Mara sing and play the guitar, and I got to admit, I was pretty impressed. And I'm not a guy who's easily impressed. So I had a song that I'd written, and I thought Mara's voice would fit it really well. So I took Mara into Rick O'Rick's studio in College Park, right near the University of Maryland, and Mara came in and sang this song, and she really put her heart into it, I got to tell you. Batu, my trusty canine companion, was with me in the studio that day, and he really loved her voice. He fell asleep, which is always a good sign. Special little note, that mandolin you hear in the background of this song, that's me playing. I'd never played the mandolin before, and after that performance, I'll probably never play again. The Hammond B3 organ was played by George Hazelrig, who gave a stunning performance, but it's Mara's vocals that really got me on this song. So here it is, a Slim Man song from the 1,000 Miles Away CD, a song called My One and Only One. And this features the brilliant vocals of Mara Jensen. Enjoy, Slim people.
You are the one, my only one, the one that I run to when the day is done, the one that I dream about each night, the one I want to hold me tight. You are the one, my only one, you are the stars, the moon, the sun, now my whole world revolves around you, my one and only one, my one and only one. What's with me? I'm not who I used to be. Since we met, a new day has dawned. I was fine until your eyes met mine. Just one look and I was gone. I never felt so far so fast. There's love in my heart, I just want it to last. 'Cause you are the one, the only one, the one that I run to when the day is done, the one that I dream about each night, the one I want to hold me tight. You are the one, my only one, you are the stars, the moon, the sun, now my whole world revolves around you, my one and only one, my one and only one. I don't know just how this love took hold. You must have cast a spell on me. But I know this, I go around the world for just one